Hey, so yesterday we talked about creating safe spaces for conversations. Today I want to talk about something that kind of creeps up during the holidays, which is stress. And I know there are various times throughout the year that we feel stress, so you can also use the tips and the things that I'll talk about today to implement them into your life beyond the holidays. So sometimes we can think about stress as being busy, but I think that it's so much deeper than that because during the holiday season, all of that stress can bring on anxiety, depression. It can make us feel lonely, like nobody understands us, or make us feel overwhelmed sometimes, like we have to do everything on our own. Sometimes that can be from the financial pressure to buy gifts, the emotional weight of sometimes like family dynamics or family drama that can bring on stress during the holidays. Grief from missing a loved one that can bring on stress a lot of times during the holidays, and just feelings of depression, or simply feeling that no matter what we do, it's never enough. I know sometimes during the holidays, we like to do the absolute most on everything. And sometimes that can just cause us to feel overwhelmed and stressed, when sometimes it can be just not necessary. Just trying to make everything so perfect and everything just a 10. And sometimes that can just make us feel overwhelmed. For some of us, stress can show up as frustration. It can show up as tears. For others, it can be like a quiet, like heaviness that they're feeling. It could be a disconnection from kind of feeling like any joy. People can feel like, man, I just really feel down. Everybody else seems to be feeling good. Everybody else seems to be joyous. And that person could really feel like they're struggling through the holiday season. That can cause them to feel stress. And so sometimes when stress goes unchecked, it can feed into deeper struggles. And those things will be like anxiety or depression. So we're going to talk about holiday stress, the kind that weighs on your heart, and how not only it affects you, but the people around you. And then we'll talk about like how we can recognize it and find ways to care for ourselves and ways that we can care for other people. So stress doesn't just stay in our head. It seeps into our emotions and our relationships. So we'll talk about a few ways that it can show up specifically during the holidays. So the feeling of anxiety, it can sometimes feel like a constant feeling of uneasiness. Like if there's too much to do and not enough time, it can keep you up at night worrying about things that feel overwhelming. So during the holidays, that could feel like going through our checklist, stressing out about all the things that we have to buy for the holidays. Some people may feel like they're not in the financial position to buy a bunch of gifts during the holidays, but they still feel the need to do it anyway. That can cause people to feel a lot of stress. Panicking over meals, preparing holiday meals. It's so funny because when my mom would get in the kitchen and she would just commit to making a bunch of things during the holiday season, and she would be in the kitchen stressed, running around and everything. And I'm like, why are you so stressed about this? Like, why are you doing all of this? But people wanting to make other people happy and taking on a bunch of things and overwhelming yourself, that can cause people to feel stressed and anxiety. Sometimes we can overcommit during the holidays. Some people have a little bit of time off work and they want to rest, but then they've overcommitted or said they'll attend this holiday party or this gathering, and that can make them feel anxious and overwhelmed as well. Sometimes we can feel depressed. When stress piles up, it can feed into feelings of sadness and hopelessness. We might find ourselves thinking like, what's the point? And trying to just pull everything together and make everything perfect. So this can feel like struggling to feel excited about decorating, struggling to feel excited about shopping or attending gatherings when you used to love those things, avoiding family and friends. Sometimes people feel a sense of dread. Sometimes people really dread the holidays, especially like if it's the first holiday that they've had after their loved one has passed. And these feelings are valid, and it's okay to acknowledge these feelings without guilt. We don't have to feel like we have to act a certain way during the holidays. We don't have to feel like we have to be full of joy or anything except just be ourselves. And some people can be irritable and sad and angry during the holidays. So that irritability can show up like maybe people are yelling at their kids. Maybe they're snapping at other people that are in their lives. Maybe they're feeling irritated at family gatherings, like if somebody makes an offhand comment, even if it wasn't meant to be hurtful, and just like seeing someone like looking as if or acting as if they're on edge. So it's not often about the other person. It's about feeling just stretched too thin and recognizing that you need to just pause and reset. And so sometimes people can have physical symptoms of stress that can include headaches, stomach aches, fatigue. Stress can often affect our body in a way that sometimes we may not recognize. But then when we have those things like headaches or stomach aches, or those things are sometimes could be related to anxiety. So sometimes people can get frequent headaches from just being out all day and just being so stressed about shopping and being at the mall, feeling a pit in your stomach. Sometimes when you know you have overspent during the holidays and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? So some of the ways that we can recognize stress in other people is like someone who you may be close to, they may withdraw during this season. They may not really want to be around people. Sometimes people can overcompensate. Sometimes people have emotional outbursts, or sometimes people can seem like they are having low energy, and you may be thinking like, hey, you don't seem like yourself. It's really good to check in with people, as we talked about before, starting a conversation with people. So now that we know some of the things to look for in ourselves and other people, it's important for us to think about ways that we can alleviate some of this stress and ways that we can care for ourselves during the holidays. When we're feeling stressed, we have to make ourselves a priority because we are dependent on ourselves to be well. Other people are dependent on us to be well. We have people in our lives that we love and care for, that love and care for us, and we should love and care for ourselves enough to acknowledge that we're feeling stressed and then try to do something about it. So I think the first thing is to acknowledge how we're feeling. Like, it's okay not to be okay. And I know that people say that often, but it really is true. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You have to give yourself permission to feel the feelings that you feel and not always feel like you always have to have it all together. And then acknowledging that you feel that way, sad, overwhelmed, anxious, or whatever the feeling is, and then start to try to think about what is making me feel this way, and then try to work yourself into feeling better. Set realistic expectations. Do what you can do financially, emotionally, and physically. Focus on the things that really matter without putting stress and strain on yourself. So do the things that you can do. Say no to people when you need to. It's okay to say no to invitations, to tasks that people want you to do, or anything that feels like too much. You need to protect your peace. I cannot say that enough. People really need to protect their peace. That is a really important thing to do. So just don't overextend yourself in any area this holiday season. And just carve out quiet time and quiet moments for yourself. And I think sometimes this is another thing that we feel guilty about, like having moments for ourselves. It's so important to have some quiet time to yourself. So if you have a space in your house, sometimes people are like, I have to sit in a car before I go in the house, or whatever you need to do to protect your peace. Just have a moment, 10 minutes to sit in silence. You can do some breathing. You could journal. But it's so important to take a pause because that makes a big difference. And lean on your support system, like whoever the people in your life that care about you, that you care about. If you're having a rough day, call a friend, go have a coffee or something, or just call a person and just reach out to them to talk. That's really healthy to talk about how you're feeling when you do feel stressed and overwhelmed. And don't try to keep it all on the inside. And so ways that we can support others, which reiterates some of the things that I was saying yesterday about starting the conversation, is to just be a calming presence for someone. We can do things to help lighten their load. Like you can say, hey, I'll come over. Do you need anything today? Can I help you wrap gifts? Or if they're having a party, maybe you can arrive a little bit early to kind of help them out a little bit. You can remind them that they're enough. I think a lot of times when people are going through life and stressed, it's because they feel like they should be doing more or they should be more. And so just giving somebody else permission to say, you are enough, you're doing great, I think is a really big deal. And the last thing is to respect other people's boundaries. If they're not ready to talk, as we said yesterday in starting the conversation, then just give them a moment, and it's okay to just be quiet with them. We don't have to feel like we have to fix people. We can just be there for them when they're ready to talk about it. And so I'm going to leave you with this, that stress doesn't make you weak. Needing support doesn't mean you're failing. The holidays can be tough, and it's okay to admit that. And today I just want you to take a moment to check in with yourself, to just kind of evaluate how you're feeling, if anything has been making you feel stressed. If it has, is this something that you can let go? And if someone you love seems stressed, how can you show up for them in a way that feels meaningful? And so tomorrow we're going to talk about something that has really affected me, and that is something near and dear to my heart, which is like managing your grief. Because if you've lost someone that you love, this time of year can bring up so many memories and emotions. Like during the holidays specifically, I really, really miss my mom's cooking. And so we'll talk about how to navigate grief, how you can still create moments where you have peace and moments of joy where you can remember your loved one. And also during this time of year, make sure that you're definitely have moments where you are having self-care, where you have moments to do things that you really like and enjoy, so you're not just sitting around and really feeling sad. So thank you for being here today. And remember, you're doing enough and you are enough, and we'll talk tomorrow.